Hey guys, and welcome back to Art Theories, where usually we talk about art or contemporary art, but sometimes we talk about other things like education. And today I want to talk about an aspect of education which I find incredibly frustrating, but I also care about a lot, and that is bullying and how we can stop bullying. So I worked as a teacher the last couple of years. I've been an art teacher in London. A part of my job that I found very, very difficult to deal with was bullying and stopping kids from bullying. I think maybe part of the reason why I found it particularly triggering is because I was also bullied at school. And so I really do get how the victim of bullying feels. I know how horrible it is. I just think it's such a shame that we tolerate this kind of behavior in British education. And it's something that I would really like to see changed. I've been talking to my therapist about my experience of being bullied and reflecting on what it did to me in the long run. And I think what I took away from the experience of getting bullied was I internalized certain negative beliefs about myself. And I also think that I started to believe that there was something shameful about having experienced bullying. I started to believe that maybe I deserved to be bullied. And if more people found out I was bullied, they'd also start to realize that I deserved to be bullied and might start bullying me. So I had to kind of keep it a secret because otherwise everyone would start to bully me because they'd realize that I deserved it. And that's been something which has been very difficult for me to unlearn. And even in adult life, that's something I'm still working on. My therapist suggested that I do some sort of creative project around the topic of bullying, something that could help me to reflect on the experiences that I had at school, but also a way of helping me to reframe my experiences and help me to take the shame out of it a little bit. And I thought that was a really good idea, but I don't actually make art anymore. I never make artworks. So I was like, what can I do around bullying? But I do have a YouTube channel, which I'm very passionate about, and I do invest quite a lot of creativity into this channel. So I thought maybe I could make some sort of resource around bullying. We could explore what it is and how to reduce it, and that can be my creative project. So here it is. Here's my creative project around bullying. This video is mostly going to focus on bullying that takes place at school, just because that's kind of what I know about, and that's what I have experience about, both as a teacher and as a student who experienced bullying. So, what is bullying and why does it happen? The Anti-Bullying Alliance defines bullying as the repetitive, intentional hurting of one person or group by another person or group, where the relationship involves an imbalance of power. Bullying can be physical, verbal, or psychological. It can happen face-to-face or online. This definition is pretty bog standard. We all kind of know that's what bullying is. I wanted to go a little bit deeper, so I've done some research into the mechanics of bullying and the psychology of bullying. And what I learned was so fascinating, but it was also really counterintuitive. It wasn't what I expected to find. And I think that's really helped me to reshape my own understanding of bullying, and it's helped me to understand and process my own experiences. So I definitely recommend you hear this out because it's just really interesting. Just as a disclaimer, I do not have a background in psychology. I am repeating ideas that I've read in books and that I've seen online. They're not my own ideas. I personally believe them to be true, but I'll let you make up your own mind about whether you agree with these ideas I'm about to present to you. I'm going to start by pointing out some very counterintuitive facts that I learned about bullying. Counterintuitive fact number one: bullying is not logical. It's emotional. It doesn't really make any logical sense why we would pick on another person, why we would do that. It's not rational. We can't begin to understand bullying, and we can't begin to get rid of that behavior until we acknowledge that it comes from a very emotional place. We all have emotional needs and desires. The need to feel safe, the need to have friendships, the need to feel connected to a community, the need to be loved, the need to feel valuable, special, important, even powerful. We may also feel the need for high social status, also known as popularity. We may also feel the need to experience fun and excitement. Most people strive to meet their emotional needs in a way which doesn't hurt other people. However, bullies are people who choose to victimize and target people weaker than themselves in an attempt to fulfill one or some of those emotional needs. It may be that by picking on someone weaker than themselves, the bully can feel important or powerful. They may be able to form connection with their peers and even build friendships around targeting a weaker peer. They may believe that engaging in bullying will elevate their social status. Bullying may help the bully to feel safe, either emotionally or physically. Or the bully may just want to experience the fun and the excitement that comes with targeting another individual. This is why bullies are often described as weak or cowardly, because even though they may seem strong when they're harassing their victims, and they may have high social status within the group, deep down they're actually doing something very pathetic. They're using somebody else in a really desperate attempt to meet their own emotional needs, and that is pathetic. Counterintuitive fact number 2. Bullying is not personal. This may seem hard to believe if you're the one being picked on day in, day out, but when we understand that bullying is just a pathetic attempt from the bully to get their emotional needs met, we can see that this is much more about the bully than it is about the victim. The victim is just a tool that the bully is using to get the emotional fulfillment they crave. If the victim was to disappear or move to another school or move to another workplace, the bully would have to find a new victim if they wanted to keep getting the emotional fulfillment that they were getting from the previous victim. And this fact that bullying is not personal, I found particularly helpful in my own process of healing from bullying, because one of the ways in which it affected me, and I think this is very common, is that if you are targeted by a bully, you start to believe that there's something wrong with you, or you're doing something, or you did something, or you are a certain way that means that you deserve to be bullied. And well, obviously that's not true. What's actually going on is that bullies are looking for someone that they can pick on so that they can get the emotional fulfillment that they need out of the situation. But the truth is that bullying is much more of a reflection of the bully's personality than it is the victim's personality. The victim is just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They're just unlucky to be around the people they're around. Counterintuitive fact number 3. Bullying does not stop on its own. This is because the bully is getting an emotional payout from the situation. They are getting far too much of a reward to stop their behaviour. The behaviour is only going to stop if the bully stops getting emotional fulfillment from the situation, or if the consequences become so severe that the bully must stop. When I was at school, I didn't really understand this. I thought that eventually the bullies would stop picking on me and would allow me to become their friends, which was a big mistake, and it meant that basically the behaviour went on much longer than it should have. The next thing I'm going to tell you about bullying is fascinating, and this actually blew my mind and changed the way that I understand bullying. Truth number 4. Bullying is a group dynamic. A study conducted in Finland in the 1990s concluded that bullying is a group dynamic rather than a two-way exchange between a bully and a victim. So the traditional understanding of bullying is that you have a bully and a victim and it's a two-way exchange. What this study proved is that bullying is actually a group dynamic and involves many more players. So instead of a bully and a victim, we have a ringleader and a target. The target is the one being bullied, and the ringleader is the one who does the main bulk of the bullying. Alongside the ringleader is a group called the reinforcers. These are people who encourage the bully's behaviour, either by smiling or laughing along as the bully does the bullying, and maybe make small comments which encourage the behaviour. Those guys are the absolute worst. I bet you remember one of those guys from school. But the bully also has another group called assistants. Assistants are people who will engage in bullying, but only if the ringleader initiates it. So they're kind of like playing the second fiddle to the ringleader. These guys also suck. There's also a group called outsiders. Outsiders are people who either don't realise what's happening, or they do realise what's happening and they pretend not to see it, either out of safety or just not wanting to deal with it or because they don't care. And finally, everyone's favourite group, we have the defenders. Defenders are people who support and defend the target, either by physically intervening, or by telling a teacher or a person in authority, or by offering support and friendship to the target. These guys are awesome. Let's take an example from popular culture. In Top Gear, Jeremy Clarkson always makes jokes and does pranks at James May's expense. So Jeremy Clarkson is the ringleader and James May is the target. But Richard Hammond also plays a very important role within the group dynamic. Richard Hammond will always laugh and smile along at Jeremy Clarkson's comments and pranks, which are made at James May's expense. So Richard Hammond is playing the role of the reinforcer. He reinforces the behaviour of Jeremy Clarkson. The Finnish study concluded that a more effective way to stop bullying is to work with the whole group rather than focusing on the behaviour of the ringleader. The ringleader is very reluctant to change their behaviour because they're getting emotional fulfillment out of the situation. However, if you change the behaviour of the reinforcers by getting them not to smile or laugh when the bully engages in bullying, that can take the emotional fulfillment away from the ringleader. Or you can get the assistants to become outsiders by encouraging them not to take part in the bullying when the ringleader initiates it. This can take a lot of power away from the ringleader. On top of this, you can encourage more and more outsiders to become defenders, which in turn will create an environment where bullying is much more difficult and much less rewarding. If Richard Hammond stopped laughing along at the jokes that Jeremy Clarkson makes at James May's expense, Jeremy Clarkson would find it much less rewarding to rip on James May. Although Jezza is kind of a dick, so he'd probably just be mean anyway, so maybe that's a bad example. I cannot believe I'm talking about Top Gear on Art Theories. So the final thing we're going to do in this video is we're going to talk about what you can do if you're getting bullied. So far, all this information is good, but it's not that helpful if you specifically are the person getting bullied. So hopefully this helps. First of all, I'm so sorry if you are in a position where someone is bullying you. That is deeply, deeply unfair and wrong, and I really hope some of this information can be of use. Probably not every suggestion will be applicable to your situation, but I really hope that you can find one or two things I say here that will help. So my first and main piece of advice is if you're being bullied, you should tell someone what's going on. This could be a friend that you trust, or a parent, or a teacher, or an employer, because when you tell someone what's going on, measures can be put in place to make sure that you're kept safe and to make sure that the behaviour stops. One of the big mistakes I made at school was that I never told anyone when bullying was happening to me because I don't really know why I didn't. I think that there was a culture of not telling the teachers these things, and I think there was a lot of shame around telling teachers if you were getting bullied at my school. And yeah, I regret not telling teachers or parents or friends when it would happen. And I really recommend you do tell someone because it's the quickest way to stop the behaviour. My next suggestion is to find out what the rules are about bullying. Every school and workplace should have rules and procedures in place to deal with bullying, and it can be very helpful and empowering to know what those rules are because it means you can act if someone's bullying you. Schools usually have their own bullying policy, which is on their website, or you could ask a teacher or a member of staff you trust what the policy on bullying is and what to do if you've either witnessed or experienced bullying. My next piece of advice is that you document the bullying every time there's an incident. Write down what the bully said and what the bully did, what the day was and what the time was where it happened. If you do that, the bully really can't deny their behaviour later on because you have like a database of all the mean things that they've said and done to you, which makes sure that the bully is held accountable for their behaviour. So the next piece of advice I'm going to give you it's not specific advice, but it's the question of do you or do you not confront your bully? Because on the one hand, confronting your bully can be a really great way to stop their behaviour, to make them know that their behaviour is not acceptable. But on the other hand, confronting your bully can be quite dangerous, especially if your bully is a very aggressive or volatile person. When I was a teenager, I did confront a child who was bullying me, and I ended up getting punched in the face. Upon reflection, I think that happened because I definitely wasn't in a calm state when I confronted the bully. I probably had a raised voice and quite a lot of passion in what I was saying. That was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, I did it in front of a big group of people. So the bully had an audience and didn't want to be seen to back down. He also probably had like a couple of assistants or reinforcers around, like people who would encourage him on, smile and laugh as the bullying took place, meaning he had incentive to continue his behavior. So if you do choose to confront your bully, I would recommend doing it when he doesn't have assistants or reinforcers around, and to do it either with a trusted friend or with an adult around, and to say what you need to say in a calm, concise way, in a calm environment where no one's going to get aggressive. But if you think there's any chance that your bully is going to be aggressive when you confront them, I wouldn't bother. Why put yourself at risk? Just take one of the other steps and allow a teacher or a person in authority to confront them so that you can stay safe. So this is actually a really depressing piece of advice, but I would also recommend, if you cannot stop the bullying, that you just avoid the bully. Try and not be in the same room as them as much as possible. This is a short-term way of staying safe around school or in your life. Like, if you know that the bully's in that part of the school, just don't go there, and that way you don't have to experience the behavior in the short term. I know that's really depressing, because why should you adjust your behavior because they're a horrible person? But if it's going to keep you safe, like, it might be what you have to do. Okay, another piece of advice, I would recommend learning a martial art. I know that this isn't for everyone, but learning martial arts is such a cool way of protecting yourself. As an adult, I've started learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I find it really empowering, because now I'm like, obviously I know there's people out there who could definitely beat me up, but I'm like, I know what like my next step would be if someone tried to attack me. That gives me quite a strong sense of safety and security, and I really wish I had these skills and that knowledge as a child. Like, I remember like multiple times being pinned to the floor in different situations, and if someone pinned me to the floor like that now, I've learned specifically how to escape those pins, and I think that would have been so... I mean, I wouldn't have experienced the things I'd experienced if I'd learned martial arts at a younger age. So I would definitely recommend martial arts, but I know it's not for everyone, and you shouldn't have to learn a martial art in order to be treated with respect and kindness. And also, like, the martial arts thing is great, but the bully will just find a new, weaker person to bully. So it doesn't stop their behavior, but it does protect you. And that's your main concern. So if you're interested, I would learn a martial art. And finally, if you're being cyberbullied, don't respond. Take screenshots, show them to a parent, teacher, employer, and block the account of whoever's doing the bullying. The great thing about cyberbullying is there's a paper trail. It's all recorded, and that's so embarrassing for the person doing the bullying. Like, that's there forever. That document is always there, and you can show it to any person in authority, and it doesn't look good for the person who's doing the bullying. So take screenshots, don't respond, send them off to your school, your parent, whoever needs to see them, and get that behavior sorted out. So I really hope you found this video useful. I personally found it really helpful to research and make this video. Like I said at the start of the video, when I was at school and being bullied, I did internalize a lot of negative beliefs about myself, like things that the people bullying me were saying to me. I started to believe the things the bullies were saying, and to believe that I deserved to be bullied, which had really long-term effects on me and my mental health. I found it really helpful to learn why bullying actually takes place, because it's allowed me to look back and realize there's nothing wrong with me and I didn't deserve anything that happened to me. So even if no one else benefited from this video, I definitely did. Anyway, I'm going to be back soon. I've got some more videos I want to make about education. I have a lot of thoughts about education, and then eventually I am going to go back to talking about art, but I hope you're enjoying this weird detour into education-based videos rather than art videos. If you're not, there will be more art videos in the future. Thank you for watching this video, and I really hope it's helped. Cheers!